Daniel Joseph Serafini, guilty of a violation of California Penal Code Section 187A, murder, a felony as charged in count 1.
This happened in Lake Tahoe in June 2021. But the most shocking twist? A crime so calculated, it reads like a Hollywood thriller. But in this case, it's horrifyingly real. The perpetrator wasn't a stranger. He was a former Major League Baseball pitcher. He was a son-in-law. He was someone who had spent years inside this family's life, their home, their trust. This is the terrifying story of Daniel Serafini, a once celebrated MLB star who allegedly murdered his in-laws for money. Watch till the end because this story is disturbing, twisted, and completely unimaginable, but every fact is verified.
It's been 4 years since my mom and dad were shot, and it's been 4 years of just hell.
The perfect day turns deadly. It was a bright, sunny Saturday in June 2021. Gary Spore and Wendy Wood, wealthy real estate investors, were enjoying a leisurely day on the water with their daughter Erin and her 2 young sons. The lake sparkled under the sun, their laughter echoing across the water, boats gliding gently over calm waves. It was a quintessential family day, perfect in every way. By the early evening, as the sun began to dip, Erin prepared to leave for Reno with her children. Her mother, Wendy, handed her a $9,000 check, a gift to finally build the indoor horse riding ring she had dreamed of for her equestrian center. Hugs were exchanged, waves goodbye were shared, smiles, contentment, peace. But all that was about to change in a way no one could have imagined. Earlier that day, a masked man had slipped into their garage, caught on surveillance footage. He didn't take anything. He didn't announce himself. He simply hid, somewhere inside the house, waiting, watching, planning his moment. And that moment came with deadly precision. The murders. A family ambushed. An hour after Erin left, Gary and Wendy settled in front of the TV. The masked intruder made his move. Gary was shot in the back of the head. Death was instantaneous. Wendy was hit twice, but somehow she crawled to the bathroom, dialing 911 with only gasps for air. The sound of her labored breathing filled the line, a haunting call for help that would later echo in investigators' memories. Emergency responders traced her call and rushed her to the hospital, where she spent over a month in intensive care, fighting for survival. Every day was a battle. Each step, each word, each movement had to be relearned from scratch. But the injuries were only the beginning. Over the next 2 years, Wendy struggled to regain the life she once knew, relearning how to walk steadily without support, how to articulate sentences, how to read and cook independently again. The mental strain was immense. Her world had been violently fractured, leaving her with deep emotional scars alongside the physical ones. She battled crushing depression and anxiety, constantly haunted by the memory of that terrifying night and the unimaginable betrayal from someone she had welcomed into her family. Friends and neighbors described her as a shadow of her former self, a woman grappling with grief, fear, and anger all at once. Tragically, in 2023, Wendy ended her life, but not before confiding in friends and investigators that she believed she knew who had committed the murders. Her own son-in-law, Daniel Serafini. Those final words left an indelible mark, setting the stage for one of the most shocking criminal investigations in Lake Tahoe's history. The sense of betrayal, the unimaginable reality that a family member could be capable of such violence, weighed heavily on everyone connected to the case. It was a chilling reminder that evil can sometimes hide behind the most familiar faces. From baseball glory to a life in turmoil, Daniel Serafini's life before the murders was a tale of talent, fame, and eventual decline. He pitched parts of 7 Major League Baseball seasons from 1996 to 2007. Drafted in the first round by the Minnesota Twins, he also played for the Chicago Cubs, San Diego Padres, Pittsburgh Pirates, Cincinnati Reds, and Colorado Rockies. But in 2007, Daniel's career took a major blow. He was suspended 50 games after testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Determined to continue playing, he moved overseas to Japan for a few more years. But the bright lights of MLB had dimmed. His fame, his fortune, and his career trajectory were all slipping away. Daniel first met Wendy and Gary's daughter, Erin, in 2006. She was 19. He was 31, married, and a father of 2. Initially, their interactions were strictly professional. Erin was hired to train the family's horses. By 2010, Daniel, now divorced, began pursuing Erin romantically. They married in a barefoot beach ceremony in Hawaii. Their marriage was unconventional from the start. It was an open arrangement, a quiet understanding of don't ask, don't tell when it came to other partners. But this anything-goes attitude did not extend to Erin's parents, Wendy and Gary. Tensions with the in-laws were apparent almost immediately. Family tensions and financial conflicts. Daniel's relationship with his in-laws was fraught with resentment and conflict. Wendy drafted a post-nuptial agreement, ensuring that Daniel could never touch the multi-million-dollar trust she and Gary had set up for their daughters if their marriage ended. Daniel signed it, but behind closed doors he seethed. According to reports, he even joked about paying someone $20,000 to kill his in-laws. Erin later admitted she didn't support the post-nup but understood the friction it caused. Despite these conflicts, money continued to tie the family together. Over the years, Erin and Daniel relied heavily on Wendy and Gary's financial support, even though Daniel had made millions during his MLB career. By 2021, Daniel's fortune had mostly vanished. A bitter divorce and failed investments, including a bar in Sparks, Nevada called the Bullpen, later renamed Oak Tavern, had left him financially strained. By the time the bar closed, Daniel was working at a remote Nevada gold mine and living in a trailer, far from the life of fame and luxury he had once known. Meanwhile, Erin was running her equestrian center, funded largely by her parents, escalating conflict and threats. Daniel's anger and resentment toward his in-laws grew over time. In 2016, a fight over $1.3 million escalated into a furious email from Daniel. "Take the effing house, but if Gary ever says F you to me again, I'll knock him the F out." By 2021, the threats escalated further. Weeks before the murders, he reportedly wrote, "I'm gonna kill the MFS one day." Despite the tension, Wendy continued to give financial support. Prosecutors say that just weeks before the ambush, she handed Gary a $70,000 check for his dream car. Money and grudges had created a dangerous mix, a volatile combination that would culminate in tragedy. The community reacts. The murders stunned the Lake Tahoe community. It was an area that hadn't seen a homicide in 20 years. There was no robbery, no forced entry, only haunting surveillance footage of someone creeping into a home they knew intimately. Investigators quickly realized the killer had to be familiar with the house, leading them to focus on family and close acquaintances. The investigation initially went cold, and tensions within the family increased. Aaron's sister even offered a $150,000 reward for information. Months later, she filed a wrongful death lawsuit accusing Aaron and Daniel of involvement. Samantha Scott, the babysitter and accomplice. A key figure in this case was Samantha Scott, Aaron's friend and babysitter. On the night before the murders, she rented a motel room with Daniel. Phone and surveillance data later revealed her car, with Daniel inside, near the Sporewood residence just minutes after the shots were fired. Initially, Samantha claimed she believed Daniel was picking up a package. But eventually, she admitted driving him to the house and waiting for 5 hours while he hid inside. After the shootings, she helped him destroy the gun and evidence, tossing clothing and the weapon into nearby areas. Samantha's involvement added a psychological layer to the case. She had initially been Daniel's ally, then confidant, and ultimately an accessory. Her friendship with Aaron complicated the narrative. She remained loyal to both parties at different times, creating a tangled web of trust, deception, and fear. Courtroom revelations. The chilling truth. During Daniel's trial, Samantha revealed that he admitted shooting Wendy and implied killing Gary. He threatened her life if she spoke. Despite the horrifying crimes, she remained romantically involved with him at the time, creating a deeply disturbing dynamic. Aaron, meanwhile, stayed loyal, denying any involvement. Her steadfast loyalty cost her dearly. She became estranged from her only surviving family member, her sister, and faced public scrutiny. The trial revealed just how meticulous Daniel's planning had been. Surveillance footage, phone data, and witness testimony painted a picture of premeditation. Daniel hid for hours, calculated the timing, and executed a plan with deadly precision. It was a level of cold-blooded calculation rarely seen outside of fiction. The verdict, after 6 grueling weeks in court, where shocking details of the murders, betrayals, and secretive relationships came to light, the jury retired for 3 days of tense deliberation. Families, friends, and the Lake Tahoe community watched anxiously as the fate of Daniel Serafini and Samantha Scott hung in the balance. The courtroom was heavy with anticipation, every witness testimony, every piece of evidence scrutinized and dissected in the minds of those present. Finally, in July 2025, the verdict was read aloud. Daniel Serafini, guilty of murder, attempted murder, and burglary. Samantha Scott, accessory after the fact, walked free in exchange for her testimony against Serafini. For many, the verdict brought a sense of closure. Justice had been served, at least legally, and the truth behind the horrifying Lake Tahoe ambush was officially confirmed. Daniel Serafini, the former MLB star who had once inspired cheers in stadiums across the country, was now a convicted murderer, his legacy forever tarnished. Samantha Scott, who had played a critical role in aiding him, avoided prison but carried the weight of her choices. Ultimately, the verdict closed the courtroom doors on the legal chapter, but the emotional scars, fractured relationships, and lingering questions about loyalty, greed, and human nature would continue to resonate for years to come. The Serafini case became more than a headline. It became a chilling lesson about the dangers lurking behind familiar faces and the destructive power of unresolved resentment. Psychological insight a deeper look. What drives someone like Daniel Serafini, a man who achieved greatness on the baseball field, celebrated for his talent, suddenly reduced to obsession over money, resentment, and revenge? Psychologists often point to the combination of entitlement, narcissism, and perceived betrayal as triggers for extreme behavior. In Daniel's case, the loss of wealth, professional status, and control over family finances may have triggered a sense of absolute injustice, turning him from a professional athlete into a calculating murderer. The combination of financial desperation, perceived humiliation, and obsessive resentment can, in rare cases, push individuals over the edge. Reflection: the cost of betrayal. This case is a tragic reminder that sometimes the most dangerous threats come from within the family. A trusted son-in-law, someone welcomed into the home, orchestrated a plan so calculated that it left survivors traumatized, a community in shock, and a family forever broken. It also raises questions about loyalty, love, and morality. Aaron's unwavering defense of Daniel contrasts sharply with Samantha's eventual cooperation with authorities, highlighting how personal attachments can complicate the pursuit of justice. So what do you think? Was justice fully served, or are there still unanswered questions? Can you imagine someone plotting a murder with such cold precision while being a part of the very family they intended to destroy? If you love true crime stories that are shocking, disturbing, and completely captivating, subscribe, hit the bell, like, and share this video with a friend. We bring you the darkest, most unbelievable crimes 3 times a week, so stay tuned for more.